on the Cambridge Ball State Cardinals Sports Network. From Learfield, welcome to the Varsity House Birdfeed on the Ball State Cambridge Network. Here is your host, Joel Godett.
Back at it here at the LA Pittenger Student Center. It is the Birdfeed Live presented by Varsity House. Joel Godett, Mike Neu, and Bryce Cosby as the Cardinals come off their Mid-American Conference home opening game against the Toledo Rockets on Saturday. Cardinals are home again this Saturday. They'll take on Army, or the Army, inside Schumann Stadium, 5 o'clock on Saturday. So come on out, 888-BSU ticket or ballstatesports.com. If you're a student, make sure to register for your student tickets online as well. Before we dive into Army and the unique challenge that game presents because of the way that Army plays, Mike, it was not the outcome you wanted Saturday, but the tone and tenor of your voice afterward was what we would expect from you, and that was not one of panic, one of understanding of where you guys are at and understanding of where you can be and how to get there.
Well, I firmly believe we can fix the mistakes that we're making. You know, we got to look at ourselves first and some of the opportunities that we had, especially in the first half. We can fix that. You know, that comes down to us. It comes down to us being able to execute. So going to continue to believe, going to continue to stay positive. These guys on this team have played a lot of football. I know they know how to fight. I know they know how to respond to adversity, and I believe that. And you know, we can look at the film. We had opportunities, especially in the first half there, to get the ball in the end zone. We gave up a couple of big plays that were uncharacteristic of us from a defensive standpoint. You eliminate those things, and you sustain those drives and get the ball in the end zone, which we can fix our own problems.
Bryce, we'll get to you and talk defense here in just a second. But, Mike, from an offensive standpoint, I have to imagine if you're going to give up essentially 20 points in a conference game, you like your odds of being able to walk out with a W.
Absolutely.
What's the inhibitants right now in your eyes on offense?
Well, we gotta make sure that, you know, once we get down to the red zone, we gotta feel great about the package that we have. Obviously, sometimes there's, you know, certain guys that you feel like, all right, we got a good clear advantage here in a one-on-one matchup. If that's not the case, what do we need to do running the ball? What do we need to do in the jet sweep package? But we just got to make sure that, you know, things that we've done well before, you know, if for some reason that's not clicking right now, then we got to make an adjustment, and we'll do that.
We'll dive into that a little bit, but before I come back to the offensive side of the ball, Bryce, I imagine you would probably echo exactly where Mike's standing right now from a player's perspective.
No, absolutely. I mean, as he stated on the defense, you know, I get on here every week and mention explosive plays, and you know, we gave up some of those on Saturday, and I feel like you know, we're not going to pinpoint anything, but those are two plays that we definitely wanted back. But in terms of us as a team and our morale, you know, we're like he said, we're fighters. There's no quit in us. We know this is a long season. You know, to put it into perspective, you know, last year at this point we probably only had like two guaranteed games left after playing 4 games. So understanding that this is a long season, you know, there's no need to hang our head. We're never going to accept losing, but understand that, like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and you know, we just got to keep stacking as a unit.
I mean, I guess if we want to get technical about it, at this point last year there wasn't even a season. So
True, yeah.
you guys won an entire Mid-American Conference championship in what is still left to go here in 2021. I don't even know if, Mike, you guys were officially practicing yet at this point last year. So I guess when you put it into those date and time perspectives, like how much time is there left? Whole lot of time for you guys.
There's a lot of football left to be played. That's the most important thing, but we got to make sure that we continue to attack things that we can fix, and we can get that done. And obviously, we've had the last 2 days off in terms of cleaning up the tape, getting in the weight room yesterday. Today's off day for the guys. You know, we get back out on the practice field tomorrow, and we attack, having a great week of preparation here. We got another great home game here against Army. It's a great opportunity. Obviously, the stands were awesome on Saturday. It was a great crowd, and looking forward to another great crowd. And we just got to keep after it, man. It's a one day at a time mentality, and I firmly believe that you know, we do have a lot of football left, and we can fix our problems.
You know, we were sitting here last week talking, and one of the key topics was play loose, and Drew talked about that this past week, is that like everything is not riding, and by everything I mean like life and death is not riding on 2nd and 7 at the 33. Did you at least feel like that you guys went into this game, and Bryce, I'll start with you on that note, a little bit looser? Did you have more fun playing this week, and is that a step in the right direction for you to get back on track?
No, definitely. I mean, just looking on the field and being out there, I could definitely feel the energy. And, I mean, that's something we emphasize going into the week, trying to start as fast as possible and, putting it on film that, we're out here, we're playing fast, we're playing hard, physical, and more than anything that we're having fun, And I think, like I said, credit to our home crowd and everyone that came out and supported Saturday. We fed off everyone that was involved and, really let that just add fuel to our fire. But, no, I definitely, felt the energy the whole game, and, that's something we got to carry into next week.
Mike, same thing from your eyes?
No question. Obviously, I thought the guys came out and the energy, the juice, the way we played was definitely noticeable from the time the ball was kicked off, and we just got to continue with that. There's a lot of positives to build off of, even though the outcome didn't go in our favor. There were still a lot of positive things to build off of and continue to have that show up as we move forward.
What comes to mind first and foremost of things you liked to take away from Saturday?
Well, there's still a lot of plays that were made that were positive for the Ball State Cardinals, and so when you look at the tape and you build on those things, and guys making plays when we needed them in critical situations and in all phases. I mean, there's a lot of positive things in all three phases: special teams, defense, offense, and we just got to keep working. The one thing we got to make sure that we correct, it was a positive for us. The last couple of years was the turnover margin. That's what we got to, can't turn the ball over when you're playing good football teams and you're playing the game of football. You got to eliminate the turnovers. And again, we had critical one when we were moving the ball and in scoring position. So, we work hard at that, and those have to go away, and you got to put the ball in the end zone.
Let's talk about the one turnover that you guys created, though, because that's something that you hadn't done the last couple of weeks. And Jay Thomas, right place, right time. Bryce, what'd you see? Because that happened in front of you.
Yeah, I was actually coming around the edge, so I didn't really see anything. It's by the time I kind of got my bearings, I seen Jay with the ball, and so I just tried to turn into the lead blocker and get in front of him, try to lead the way. But no, I didn't really see anything. I was coming off the edge, and I was just happy to see he had the ball. Obviously, I heard the crowd as well, and just try to lead the way for him.
What happens in your eyes? Because if you're on defense and the crowd erupts, you know that something good has happened. Mm-hmm. Walk me through the moments of kind of your reaction to, all right, I hear something, now what?
So now, it's find the closest guy that can take down Jay, honestly. I think it was their running back. He was trailing, so at first, I went to try to pick him up, and someone picked him up, so then I had to redirect and, just try to lead the way, try to just create as much room on the sideline for him so he can, have a clean path into the end zone. But fortunately, he got knocked out of bounds, but, still great play by him. Great just, making the play and, doing what he could with the ball afterwards.
Mike, how'd that pick happen?
Well, he made a great play, obviously. Once, obviously I could hear it from the sideline, and I heard it hit his hands, and obviously it was a great play by him because he was fairly close, if you will, to the line of scrimmage, and and that thing had a little bit of juice on it, so it was a great play by Jay. And, obviously you're on the sideline and you're into the flow of the game, but when that happened, that was a huge momentum shift for us, and it was a great play by Jay Thomas.
Bryce Cosby, Jay Thomas, interception on Saturday, but he is also big leader for you guys on defense, especially with Brandon Martin being out. And I believe it is accurate that he's also the team barber. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Tell me about his skills off of the field.
Hollywood Phase. Yep. Jay's been cutting hair since probably.
Is that the nickname or is that the official title?
That's the official title.
Hollywood Fades?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He's been cutting hair since probably my sophomore year is when I think he kind of started. And, it's just always convenient having a guy on the team that can cut your hair. We're all on the same schedule, so when I got a break, you got a break. And so, he can sneak us in after a meeting or something. But, I actually got a cut from him like Wednesday before the game. So it got a little hectic at the beginning of the season where he had to tell guys on the team, like, I'm only cutting 2 people a day because he was cutting 6 and 7 people in one day, and that's very time consuming. So he had to cut it down after like week 1. But he's got it real micromanaged now, so he's in business.
I can watch film while I cut your hair, but there's no guarantees on what the final product will look like.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Mike, what does he mean from a leadership standpoint now, particularly with Beamar not out there?
Yeah, I mean, Jay's been one of those guys that's been very steady during his time here. You know what you're going to get from him. He's always got a positive attitude. He's worked hard to get to where he's at right now, and he's put it, he's one of those guys that's put in a tremendous body of work during his career, and so he's instrumental. When you talk about a guy that's played that many snaps, he's obviously seen a lot of things. He's been exposed to a lot of things. He understands the competition in our conference, from top to bottom, and obviously he understands his process too to get himself ready to play on game day. And he's one of those guys that he certainly has a lot of knowledge to pass on to the younger guys as well, and he's going to help them learn how to prepare and learn how to play the game of college football.
What did it do for you guys, Bryce? You had Jay Thomas out on the field. You did not have Brandon Martin on the field, but for the first time in 3 weeks, you had B-Mar back on the sidelines. Mm-hmm. What's it like to have that voice in battle for you guys once again?
I mean, it's great. We have a meeting as players, before the games where, everyone just, if anyone wants to get up and say anything, they can. And, it was good having Brandon back in that meeting this week, because usually he's one of the first guys to speak up. But, not having him the past 2 weeks, everybody kind of felt that. So having him back this week, like you said, just his presence and energy on the sideline in the locker room with us before the game at halftime. I mean, it's a great feeling, like you said. Regardless of if he's suited up or not, he's still looked at as, the leader of this team. So, having him around and, just his energy and presence alone, it definitely gives us a lift on defense and as a team.
It was Ball State and Toledo on Saturday. 22-12 was the final. It is Ball State Army this Saturday at 5 o'clock inside Schumann Stadium. Coming out and join us for that one for the Cards as they close out their non-conference schedule against Army this weekend. Mike, a couple of notes for you guys on offense. Trevor Holt in the first quarter, I think his first 3 catches of the season. New name, new wrinkle, certainly not a new name inside, but for fans on the outside, haven't seen a ton of Trevor Holt. Torn Achilles last year, battled back through that. As a coach, how good was it for you to be able to get him involved? And B, what else does he bring to the table for you skill set-wise that you can utilize?
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that's tough, hard-nosed, is going to give you everything he has on the football field, whether it's practice or whether it's a game. And it's certainly awesome to see him come back from the injury that he had last year. Whatever role that he is asked of him, whether it's offensively, whether it's special teams, you know what you're going to get from Trevor, and he takes pride in whatever it is you ask him to do, whether it's blocking. If he catches one pass, great. You're going to get everything he has, and that's one thing you appreciate. And certainly he started in our program as a walk-on, earned himself a scholarship through just putting it in, day in, day out, weight room, practice field, game field, whatever it is that's asked of him. And it's great to see, those opportunities pay off for him.
What'd you think about his offseason? Because I know he said in camp he thought about not coming back because an Achilles injury is a really difficult one to bounce back from. What kind of conversation did you have, and how happy were you that he ultimately made the decision to return this season?
Well, obviously based on who he is, his work ethic, his toughness, his mental toughness, how he approaches the game, you love all those things. And, he embraces every phase of our program, off-season lifting, 6 a.m. runs. He loves it. He loves that, everything that goes into that. And so, to have him, come back and respond from the injury that he had is a credit to him and a credit to his work ethic.
He loves 6 a.m. runs.
You have to. If you don't want to get better, it's, sometimes it could be cold and it might be a struggle to hit the alarm and say, man, I got to get myself motivated here to get out of bed. But if you don't love that, man, I don't know how. It's going to be tough to have a great career when you talk about college football or any football. Those are just part of the process, and you got to love them. You got to embrace them.
All right, so there's only one right answer here, Bryce. You love 6 a.m. runs, right?
Definitely. I mean, I look at it like this is what I signed up for. No one's begging me or pleading me to do this. I knew what I was getting myself into when I was in high school. I knew what came with playing college football, and if this is something that I say I truly want, then I know this is a part of it. There's probably parts of your job that you're not so excited about as well, but I look at it like as a man, this is what I got to do. Take care of my priorities. So
at least you get to run at 6 a.m. indoors now, don't you? Is that?
No, I won't be reaping that benefit. That's the younger guys.
I feel like dark and cold.
That's the only memories I'll have. 6 a.m. runs. They've got the indoor.
But once those workouts are over, you feel so accomplished. It sets
the whole
you
day's
off.
in front of you.
Oh yeah, and you feel so accomplished. Like, man, that maybe to start that workout, it was a little bit of a struggle, but once it's over, like, you feel so good about yourself.
Football was a little bit of a different game back in the early 90s, Mike, so, and the 80s when you were in high school. So 6 a.m. runs for you were like what?
Well, same deal, whether we were outside, and we had no indoor option then, but I do remember running the stairs in old university gym. We ran the steps. Every corner of that gym that you could run steps, we ran steps. And same deal, we did up downs, we did all those things on the floor there, and that was just part of it. Did mat drills, all those things that go along with it. And whether if you love hard things and you love tough work, then it's for you.
This is the Varsity House Birdfeed live here on campus at the LA Pittenger Student Center. We are streamed on YouTube, on demand on the Chirp Cast podcast feed, and also online on the ISC Sports Network in homes throughout the state of Indiana as well. Bryce, we said off the top, defensively, you've got to be happy. You gave up 20 points, essentially, the 2 points on the safety on the final play. 20-point performance for you guys. Yes, there were 2 explosive plays, but you've got to be giant body of work, really pleased with the way you guys performed. Is that an accurate depiction of how you felt about Saturday if you separate it from the final score?
I wouldn't say really pleased. You can say 2 explosive plays, but, like I said, we felt like these were very controllable explosive plays. It wasn't, anything out of the ordinary, nothing we hadn't seen, not a call that we hadn't repped. So to be fair, short and sweet, no, I wouldn't say we're satisfied. I will say, I was happy with the energy we played with. I didn't question that we didn't play hard or that we didn't play with enough effort. It was good to just see guys out there flying around. Clayton Cole was somebody that really stood out to me. I think he really, this game is going to do a lot for his confidence in terms of, proving to himself that he can play at a high level and fly around the football field with the best of them. So I'm not happy or satisfied with essentially, how we played as a defense Saturday, but the things that we emphasized, earlier in the season that we needed to always be in tune with as far as effort, physicality, flying around the football field, having fun, I definitely saw that on display on Saturday.
Clayton Cole has 15 tackles in that game.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Tavian Woodard a couple of weeks ago as a guy that you need to mean mug around the facility and those types of behind-the-scenes nuggets and anecdotes. What can you tell me about Clayton Cole that people don't see outside of the sunshine, long blonde hair?
Well, really, Clayton, it kind of started with Antonio Phillips. He kind of took Clayton under his wing because, Antonio was just like, who is this kid with his long hair? He's looking like he's been in our weight program for 3 years. He early enrolled. So Clayton, as an early enrollee, it's not that easy. You're one of the only freshmen. You're thrown right into the fire. There's no summer bridge to kind of get you acclimated. So you kind of just got to be, at a different type of maturity level to be an early enrollee. And Clayton proved from day one that he was ready for everything that came with college football. He worked hard. He was very responsible. It's just been fun seeing him grow from when he came in that December as an early enrollee freshman to, him stepping up big for us on our defense here now going into his 3rd year.
Mike, I want to say this in like the most non-weird way possible. Clayton Cole is like the most amazing physical specimen I think you've ever seen. Like he walked out to the post-game press conference on Saturday and looked like he had just finished some sort of strongman weightlifting competition. You don't get that in recruits because he looked like that when he walked on campus. That doesn't happen every day. What did you think when you saw him in person for the first time and were like, was it an oh my God type reaction?
Well, you know what? The first time I saw Clayton in person, though, he came to one of our prospect camps here during the summer, and he was playing safety then. And so, obviously, since that day, he'd put on a lot of weight. We recruited him as a linebacker, but he grew up the son of a coach. Obviously, he was around the weight room a lot. That was something that was important to his dad and his program that he was running. And so Clayton was around that. And obviously, like Bryce said, when he showed up here, he was ahead of most guys in terms of the physicality piece of it. He was, for lack of a better word, he was ahead of most guys in terms of their foundation and what they'd been exposed to in the weight room. And, I think it was a credit to him for, that was an important, part of the process for him when he was in high school, and it showed.
Well, and his brother doesn't play a ton for you, but he's come in as a veteran presence as a transfer from St. Francis and is also one of your strongest guys. I mean, crushed squat day, I remember back before camp started in the summer. So a little bit of a pedigree, I would guess you could say, in the Cole family.
Oh, I think there's probably some competition there that
Yeah.
takes place. Whether they're working out together in the summer, off season, whatever it may be, I'm sure there's probably some competition there.
So it's the Cardinals and Toledo this past Saturday. We'll put the bookends together on that one. Take a timeout. Come on back. We will talk about Army, which comes up. Next opportunity to see the Cardinals is at 5 o'clock on Saturday inside Schumann Stadium. 4 o'clock is when our coverage hits the air across the Gainbridge Cards radio network. We'll take a timeout. We'll talk about the Army Black Knights and the unique challenges that they pose when they come into Schumann Stadium this weekend next. You're listening to the Birdfeed Live presented by Varsity House.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
While new vehicles may be harder to come by recently, Stoops Automotive has stocked their inventory with plenty of new-to-you vehicles to help you find the perfect ride. Cars, trucks, SUVs, all quality pre-owned at drive-home prices. And Stoops Automotive has an amazing staff to help you find exactly what you're looking for. Stoops Automotive, East Central Indiana's used car headquarters for over 30 years.
Visit them today on West Clare Lane in Muncie or at stoopsauto.com.
Stoops, we're driven to be the best.
See dealer for details. Imagine a commercial construction company that approaches every project as if it was their own property. Imagine one that makes decisions based on the core values as much as the bottom line. And imagine one that takes immense pride in both the projects and relationships it builds. It exists and it's called Pridemark Construction. Pridemark Construction is a full-service commercial construction company backed by decades of industry experience with the capacity to complete both large and small projects that exceed client expectations. Proud of Ball State Athletics and proud of Ball State University.
Look!
This is the Birdfeed Live presented by Varsity House here at the LA Pittenger Student Center, online on YouTube, on the Chirp Cast podcast feed, and across the state of Indiana on the ISC Sports Network. Mike Neu, Bryce Cosby, Joel Godett, the Cardinals getting set to take on the Army Black Knights at 5 o'clock on Saturday inside Schumann Stadium. Before we do that, Pridemark Construction Student Athlete of the Week came out like 5 minutes ago. It is Justin Hall this week, so congratulations to Justin. He is now the all-time leading pass catcher and receiver in terms of yards in Ball State history, past Dante Ridgway on Saturday. And I saw somebody on Twitter go, doesn't count, he had an extra year. And I was quick to remind them that he did it in the 4th game, which would have been the last game last year had you played a full slate, so it counts. Now, the record to break is going to be ungodly. But as far as legitimacy goes, tip of the cap to Justin Hall, because he did what anybody else would normally do in 4 years.
No doubt. Obviously proud of him just for, where the process started way back in year number 1 and where he's at now. And guy's a playmaker, man. And I think you saw that up first and foremost with the number of times that he had the ball in his hands on Saturday. And just credit to him. Credit to him for his whole body of work, everything he's put into it. And he's not done yet. And like you said, it is, that's an amazing accomplishment. And I'm glad you mentioned that about, how many games he's played this year and having a shortened season last year. But, hats off to him because that's a great accomplishment.
Bryce, what's it like going against Justin one-on-one in practice? Because he's in the slot, you probably do it a lot.
I mean, it's so much deeper than one-on-ones with me and Justin. Like, Justin was my roommate when we first moved in. We were both playing super early as freshmen, so we were both, going through the same things throughout this whole 4 to 5 year process. And then, like you said, I play DB, he plays receiver. I would say we're kind of, both cut from the same cloth in a way. We both have a go-get-it mentality. I remember when we were young, like competitions, it was Bryce and Justin would pretty much, any competition with wide receiver DB, it was always me and Justin. So, you know, it's just really been a pleasure. You know, that's my guy on and off the field. You know, it's definitely like a brother that I know, you know, we'll be, you know, forever united for life. But like Coach Neu said, you know, just seeing the process starting from freshman year and, you know, what he's put into it and, you know, some of the plays that, you know, I can still think of from freshman year to now that, you know, still amaze me and some of the stuff that he's done. You know, he's definitely one of the most talented guys I've had the pleasure of playing with. And like he said, he's not done. You know, I feel like, you know, he's still got a level he can tap into this year that, you know, we're all aware that, you know, he's capable of. So I'm just excited to see what the future holds.
What did you guys do as freshman year roommates, non-football? Like, were you big, like, Call of Duty guys, or how did you guys pass time?
No, I mean, me and Justin are like, we're not polar opposites, but, you know, he's more energetic, I'm more laid back. So we kind of leveled each other out because, you know, he would make sure, you know, I'm not just doing nothing, and you know, I would make sure he stays on the mellow end of things, and you know, he don't get too out of hand. But we, you know, just typical stuff. Watch football, play video games. You know, Justin like playing 2K and stuff like that. So you know, we'll play football or play video games, hang out with other guys in the dorm. You know, just all the other things freshmen do.
That's smart roommate matchmaking. I don't know if he did it, but we'll tip the cap to Byron Ellis, who's sitting out in front of us. I'm just waiting for him to look up at the sound of his name. There we go. Okay.
But I think it's fitting on Saturday when you saw Justin jump over the defender into
Yes.
the somersault
Yes.
roll and how easy that looked. That, you know,
It looked
those
easier
just,
than when Cody did it.
Yes, and yeah, those just happen though. You know, you see that on such a regular basis. But to jump over the guy, which I don't encourage by any means, but when he jumped over him, then he landed into a somersault. It just looked easy.
Let's talk about Army coming up. Again, 5 o'clock Saturday inside Schumann Stadium. I feel like it's an entirely different challenge. Like, if you could get Army on your schedule in week 1, that's almost ideal because you get through it and then you move on. Do you almost have to, like, everything you've remembered about football, forget, and in this week alone, here's the task at hand because of how different they are?
Absolutely. You know, their offense, you know, like you said, presents something that, plain and simple, the mistakes we made against Toledo, I'm not saying they don't matter, but, you know, for this week, unless it's tackling or getting off blocks from a schematic standpoint, you know, we're not going to look at the Toledo film and say, oh, you know, they're going to try to expose us on this because, you know, this, that, and the third, because Army's running, you know, their offense. They're not changing for anybody. And, you know, it kind of goes back to just, you know, the saying of, you know, you don't really fear anybody who does a lot of things, you know, average or decent. You know, you fear the person that can do the same thing, you know, one thing very, very well, you know, at an elite level. And I think, you know, college football has seen, you know, Army sustain that you know, consistency in their offense and not even just their offense, their whole program. They sustained success for a while now, and you got nothing but respect for it. But it's a great challenge for us, and like I said, you know, it's just another obstacle, you know, as a defense that we have to take head on.
Mike, I was joking with Rich on the radio post-game. I said, next week, if you see somebody and they're not wearing your jersey, just tackle them. Don't worry if they have the ball. Like, think about that later. Just tackle them. That's to the extreme, but, like, how much of it is see body, take body? Like, you can't fall for the eye candy. I think is the thing you talk about a lot. You've got to stay on your assignment. You got to tackle the person in front of you.
Well, yeah, and obviously there's a lot that goes into it. Just like Bryce said, they are what they are. They do what they do offensively. Everybody says, well, it's a triple option attack, but it's very multiple. It's different. It's been expanded. And so obviously, yes, there's some opportunities when you put on the game tape. There was an opportunity for a tackle, and then, you know, the running back or the quarterback, or they got out of the tackle and then it ended up into a big play. So, yes, that's important, but there's also different challenges that take place with the offensive line. Obviously, their splits are different. Obviously, there's a ton of cut blocks that take place on every play, and that's part of it. That's part of what the challenge is when you talk about preparing for a team like Army that's been doing this, and that's just part of who they are, and they do it at a high level, and they do it week in, week out, and, you know, with the amount of time that they possess the ball, you know, the one stat that you can always go to, you know, if they do turn the ball over,
that's when they get
you know, obviously that's when you see the record, you know, go not in their favor, if you will. So it's a challenge. Obviously, there's discipline. There's a lot that goes into it, but I know how tireless that Coach Stockton and the defensive staff have worked when there was opportunities to work, whether it was summertime, whether it was springtime. Always when there was opportunities to work, Coach Stock was taking advantage of every supposed free moment that you had to try to build a database and a plan of attack leading into this week.
What is different in terms of the evolution, like the old triple option versus what Jeff Monken has made it? And I guess you can really apply that broader scopes across all the schools that run this. Like how has the system changed in 2021?
The main thing is, and Bryce will have certainly some input on it as well, but there's so many shifts and there's motions that come along with it. And so when you take a shift and then you add a motion to it, whether it's a return motion, whether it's a motion across the ball, whether it's a motion that's short motion into where your option alignment might be, but there's different challenges that way, and it's evolved because, back in the day, there wasn't a shift, there wasn't a motion, you were lining up, this was the attack, and this is what we were going to do to beat you. And so now you add a motion, now you add a shift, a few different formations, and now it's evolved and it's become a little bit more multiple.
And the thing I said to Bryce when he sat down, I go, well, you don't really have to worry about the pass this week, but that's the thing. I think they're 11 of 13 passing this year, and their average pass play is 30 yards. So what is it like to not be lulled to sleep, waiting for that moment inevitably that will come when they're going to throw it over top?
Well, I think as players, it's our nature to really buy into whatever the coaches are emphasizing. And so, obviously with us playing Army and everything that they're trying to do, the emphasis is always going to be stop the run or do our best to, contain what they're trying to do. And so, when everyone gets so bought into stopping this, like you said, it leaves you liable to explosive plays, explosive pass plays from their offense. And the fact that they don't do it as often as maybe some offenses in college football is also what plays a factor into that. But I think it's simply just you get anxious sometimes as a defender, trying to do a little bit too much or, trying to make a play and stop the bleeding for say, if they get on a drive and, that's when they got you, probably. First and 10, you're thinking it's going to be a normal, pass, and they like where they're at in terms of field position, and they feel like it's time to take a shot. So, it just goes back to responsibility football, knowing exactly what your job is and doing that to the best of your ability.
Mike, their quarterback, Christian Anderson, had, I think, 236 yards rushing last week, and he didn't play the entirety of the game. It's 6 all-time in Army history, for what that's worth. What is it about the way that he runs their offense that has allowed him to put up kind of numbers like that?
Well, I mentioned a couple minutes ago, obviously he had a couple of long runs in the game that just took place against Miami, and a couple of those, he broke. One of them was a big one that was 75 yards right out of the gate early in the game. Then there was another one where they had him bottled up, and he broke about 3 tackles. And then he got out of it for a 25, 26-yard gain, whatever it was. So he's one of those guys that's slippery. He's got great speed. He can take it to the house in the open field if he gets a lane and he makes the right decision in their option package there. But he's one of those guys that you got to tackle. And obviously he's tough because he takes some hits throughout the course of the game, and he keeps going. And, he's one of those guys that, he runs it as well as you could run the system. He runs their attack as well as you could run it. And, obviously, we give him credit. But, when we do have an opportunity, we got to make sure they do a great job tackling as a team. And that's something Coach Stock and be emphasized and has been emphasizing. So it's a great challenge.
2 more questions, then we'll wrap things up for today. Bryce, one for you. Football is fun. You're doing this because you enjoy it. But sometimes, we talked about this earlier, like there's things you do and don't like. Sometimes it's 6 a.m. runs, sometimes it's not. Is playing an option team like Army, is this a fun challenge for you? Do you relish the opportunity to do this, or is this like okay, this is going to be a really tough week and it's going to be mentally straining and I just want to get through this and let's get a good result and move on?
No, it's fun. Every week for me is fun because, I feel like you could say that about every week. Every week there's going to be something that's tough, that it can come, appear as hard, for you as a defense. Maybe that could be having to communicate a lot for this team, having your conditioning at a top notch because, this team might like to do tempo. So, like I said, it's going to be a different challenge every week. And, I feel like that's the beauty of defense and taking pride into, stopping whatever they consider themselves that they like to do. As a defender, I feel like you're not on the right side of the ball if you don't thrive in that and wanting to, be a part of trying to stop something. I think that's just got to be a part of your nature and your DNA, and you got to be willing to accept the challenge every week.
Mike, last thing for you. Obviously, you came to Ball State from a lengthy career in the NFL. You were a quarterback coach with the Saints. Put me in the shoes of an NFL owner. He's hiring a new head coach. Coach walks in and goes, "Coach, it's 2022 and we're going to run the triple option." How would that go?
It'd probably be tough to sign free agents, and it'd probably be tough to get guys super fired up about playing that style.
Okay. I'm just curious.
But again, obviously it's something that Army's been doing forever, and it's worked for them, and I think it'd be a challenge. That question that you asked would probably be a challenge at that level.
It's a unique set of circumstances that makes it work, especially at the service academies. I was just sitting here and I was like, I wonder what would happen if somebody was sitting there and was like, you know what, let's give it a shot. But there's a reason that the spread and the air raid and all that is in vogue right now.
And then you don't have unlimited bodies. So that's tough as well.
And speaking of unlimited bodies, like Army's got unlimited bodies. I think they've got like 3 guys for every uniform number. But again, quirks of being the service academy and having the guys that they have at their disposal. It'll be a fun game. It's awesome that you guys get the opportunity to play against them. Not at Michie Stadium, which is one of the greatest settings in college football, but good to have them here. And you didn't have to jump out of an airplane as part of it, Mike, so that's good.
That is good.
Your boss did. But
I heard that. That's obviously I got a little recap of that, which sounds I can't imagine what the adrenaline would be like for that, and the trust factor involved with that as well.
No airplanes, Bryce. You're shaking your head.
Oh no, I mean I'm not jumping out of an airplane, no, but I'll do what's necessary to get to where I need to go.
I'll get off of one when it's on the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Guys, thank you. Appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
Mike Neu, Bryce Cosby. It is the Birdfeed Live presented by Varsity House. We're back here next Monday to recap it all. You can catch it on demand on the Chirp Cast podcast feed or across the state of Indiana on the ISC Sports Network.
This was the Varsity House Bird Feed on the Ball State Gamebridge Network.